Good morning, everybody. Hello. Happy Sunday. It is February 4th. Happy Sunday. First Sunday in February. Hopefully you guys can see me. I'm streaming in the right place. So if you can, please give me a thumbs up. Say hello. Tell me where you're from. Tell me how you're doing. I'd love to check in. You'll see at the bottom of the screen, I have the Thoughtful Expressions hashtag. That's my giveaway code. So when you do Thoughtful Expressions, hashtag Thoughtful Expressions, you get entered into a drawing. And I'm giving away a pack of Designer Series paper. This is free during celebration. It's called Softly Stippled. And it's actually, I believe, sold out. So you cannot get it as a free item anymore. But you can get it for doing the hashtag Thoughtful Expressions giveaway code during my live today. So make sure that you have already gone to streamyard.com/Facebook and shared your Facebook name with StreamYard. You actually have to log into Facebook. So you'll have to remember your Facebook login information in order to give access to StreamYard to see your username. So some of you, I cannot see your name. So I do not think it will register you as in the drawing. So just make sure if you want to be entered in the drawing, you do streamyard.com/Facebook. Sign in and let them see your Facebook username. And then you can do the hashtag and be entered to draw or entered in the drawing. Okay. So I see Terry, I see Becky, I see Elizabeth, I see Karen Christensen and Karen Dixon. I see Lori. So if I didn't call your name, I cannot see your name. The rest of you are just Facebook user. So make sure you go in there. Hi, Jill. You're all set. So Jill and Terry and Becky and Elizabeth and both the Karens and Lori are all good. Okay. All right. Yes, Terry, I can see you. Whoop, whoop. So make sure you do that. Make sure you give permission to see your name so you can get entered in the drawing for this beautiful paper. Hi, Jan. Okay. So today we are going to be playing with this beautiful set called Thoughtful Expressions. This is a bundle in the mini catalog, and the dies are the showstoppers of this set. I'm not going to lie. I love having these layered, gorgeous dies. And we have a lot of, I really wasn't attracted to the stamp set too much at first, but now I'm really loving it. I love the hummingbird. We've had hummingbird sets in the past, but this one's just so pretty and the sentiments are so sweet. I'm absolutely loving it. So I spent some time this morning and made 3 cards that I want to show you, and using these beautiful dies. Okay, and so I'm not very prepared today. I spent too much time coloring, and so I don't have pieces and parts ready to go. So you're going to have to kind of go with me while I cut pieces of cardstock and stuff down. But I wanted to show you the projects that we're making. But first, before I do that, I do want to show you the coloring that I was playing around with. I did so many hummingbirds this morning. And I actually, because I'm so good, I wrote down the colors that I used for each one. So if you ever want to like recreate it, and don't mind like the coloring outside the lines and stuff. I wasn't being very careful. I just wanted to get a good idea of the different colors. So this one has the green with the striking red and some yellow in there. I used Granny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, Daffodil Delight. I used a skin tone SU800 to kind of give this kind of tan color, and then Flirty Flamingo to kind of calm down the Poppy Parade and kind of turn it a little pink. So the nice thing about blends is that you can play with those colors and kind of blend them in. But this one's a nice bright hummingbird. The next one I did is kind of like a rainbow mosh podge of colors, but I really like the pinks and blues and some of that bright orange and yellow in there. Again, don't judge me on my coloring. This was just to play around, but these are the colors I used. I mixed Tahitian Tide with Pretty Peacock to get this kind of aqua or teal blue. Again, SU800 for the tan color, Flirty Flamingo and Melon Mambo in the wings for the pink, and then Pumpkin Pie for that nice bright chest of the hummingbird. So again, don't judge my coloring skills. I did color outside the lines, but I was just playing with some blending. Okay, this one's probably my favorite, and it's so subtle, but it's so easy and pretty. It's literally 2 colors. I used Pretty Peacock, both light and dark. You can see I did some shading. I need to go back in and blend it a little bit better. And then I used a little bit of the SU 800 blend to give it kind of that tan, but I left the chest white. And a lot of times with hummingbirds, their little chests are white. So I thought this was just very pretty. It's not striking, it's not standing out, it's not a rainbow of colors, but it's really pretty. So, and then, oh, this one, this one's the rainbow of rainbows. I got a little carried away, but you know, sometimes their feathers are almost like holographic or something. I don't know. It's kind of like shimmery and shiny. So I played with Tahitian Tide, Melon Mambo, Pumpkin Pie, and Granny Apple Green to create this beautiful little bird with all this bright coloring through the wings and through the chest. Oh, this one is one of my favorites too. This one is Moody Mauve and Lemon Lime Twist. Look at that. You got that pretty purple wings and then the bright green body and the white chest. So pretty. You guys will have to tell me which one is your favorite. Here's another one I really liked, which was Calypso Coral in Lost Lagoon. So you got that pretty pinkish orange color. I don't know. I guess it's just pink Calypso Coral. And then you have it, and then it turns into the dark Lost Lagoon. And you could do it the other way as well. So you could have, you know, you could try doing the wings and everything in Calypso Coral and the body in Lost Lagoon. So there's so many different things that you can change it up and do. So these were fun, and I can if you guys want, I can, you know, show you guys how I did my, like, if you have a favorite, if you guys want to vote, I'll show you how I did that coloring if you want to see it. So so this one's our Granny Apple Green one. This one's our Tahitian Tide. This one is our Lost Lagoon. This one's our Lemon Lime Twist. This one's Pretty Peacock. And then this one is, we'll call this one pink and blue. You want to see some hummingbirds? I know, right? Let's see. I like the last one, the Coral and Lost Lagoon. Reality that they are all beautiful, and I need to stamp a few of these. And yes, that's the whole thing. You need to go out there and give it a shot and try different color combinations and see which one you like the best. So they're really fun. Pink and blue. I see two. Let's see. One says Pretty Peacock. I like the Lost Lagoon. Granny Apple Green. Pink and blue. Pretty Peacock. Tide one. Okay, I'm getting a whole mix and mosh podge. We could be here all day coloring these, but maybe if we have some time at the end, I will. And the ones that I colored, I actually did different hummingbirds for the cards we're doing today. So it's like I'm giving you so many different ideas, but we'll spend some time coloring some of these hummingbirds at the end if we haven't used up too much time making the projects. So these are there. All right, so you guys ready to see the projects? I'm so excited. Okay, so the first one, I wanted to emboss, but I wanted it to have like this wow factor. And so I took the doily embossing folder. You remember the doily embossing folder? And it's the same shape as the Thoughtful Expression dies. You can see like the border of the doily. So what I did was I embossed and then I heat embossed. So I used Versamark on the embossing folder, and then I put gold embossing powder and I heat embossed. I also heat embossed the hummingbird. So the hummingbird is gold. So this is a very gold, and it matches the ribbon, the Pretty Peacock and gold ribbon, and it is an easel card, so it stands up, and it says, sometimes there are no words, you're in my thoughts today. So this is a nice like sentiment card, very pretty and elegant. So this one I can show you guys, super easy, and really cool effect with the background. You could do that with any of the embossing folders. Okay, the next one, okay, I just learned this technique. I thought it was so cool. I did two kind of special techniques with this one. Can you guys see there? This split card here, I really, really love the way that it looked. It's actually super easy. And I'm going to show you guys how to make the template today. I just found instructions on YouTube and recreated it. I also, you guys notice something different with the hummingbird? It's pretty freaking obvious, but you don't know. Can you guys tell what I did with this hummingbird versus this hummingbird? Yeah, exactly, Adrian. I did the mirror side. So I'm going to show you that technique of getting a mirror image. Maybe you want your hummingbird facing a different direction. And so I'm going to show you how you can use a silicone mat to get a mirror image of your hummingbird. Okay. So we're going to do that. And this one, I used Lost Lagoon and Fresh Freesia. Isn't that a pretty color combination for a hummingbird? Oh my gosh. One of my favorites. This one was Pretty Peacock and that SU 800 again. But I thought that went really well with Very Vanilla and the Pretty Peacock paper. Okay, so those are two. And then the last one is a fancy fold. And it's so pretty. And I used the another set of Designer Series paper. Oh, the same one as this one. Flight and Airy. It's a free during celebration. And this one, I'm using those beautiful dies as a frame. So I've framed out this opening here, and you've got the beautiful flowers in that stamp set to create a yummy little feast for the hummingbird. And then you open it, and it's a fancy fold. So it folds out like a Z. And this is also that Designer Series paper, and it just looked like lattice for all those beautiful flowers. So I put that here and then added our little sentiment. And again, it just opens like this. And this is it's kind of hard to see in my lighting. I don't have very good lighting today, but this is Flirty Flamingo and Pecan Pie. So I pulled the browns from the Designer Series paper and the Flirty Flamingo from the flowers. And then I used Mossy Meadow to match the flowers in the paper. So and then my hummingbird is Misty Moonlight, which is supposedly what this blue is. So anyways, this is just a really cool, gorgeous card. It can be a birthday card, a congratulations card. There's just some great sentiments on this stamp set. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to do this technique card first. I guess it's 3 different techniques. But just fun all around. So for the base, we're going to start with a piece of Pretty Peacock that's 4 1/4 by 11. Thank you guys, you're so sweet. Okay, and we're going to score at 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. Okay, so that's going to create our little it's hard to see. It's going to create our little triangle. So when we fold it, get my little bone folder here. When we fold it and fold in again on the second score line, we create a little tent. Okay. So that's it. That's how you create an easel. It's like super simple. So 2 3/4 and 5 1/2 are your score lines. And then we're going to take some Very Vanilla. And I apologize, you guys. I usually have all this stuff cut and ready to go, but today was not that day. All right, so we're going to cut this, and I do mine upside down. So 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Okay. And then we're going to get a piece of Pretty Peacock. And I have a scrap here that I'm going to cut down here. And this one can be 5 1/4. I'm going to cut this one scored side off. 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. So there's our Pretty Peacock. Now, the first thing we're going to do is emboss. And this is going to be using that doily embossing folder. There is a die too that cuts out. It's a hybrid embossing folder. It will cut out the doily and emboss it at the same time. So that's also a really cool option. I think it goes really well with the hummingbirds personally. And again, those that shape of the doily is the same shape as that die. Okay, so we're going to bring our machine in here, and we need to have our embossing plates. So I've got my embossing plates, and you're going to take your folder on the side that has the Stampin' Up! Logo. Take your Versamark ink and make sure that the whole embossing folder is covered. Now you don't want to press too hard because you don't want embossing. Actually, I might clean this and start over. You don't want embossing ink, I guess, the Versamark ink. You don't want it in the creases, I guess, in the negative space. You just want it on the detailed space because you don't want to emboss the whole piece of paper and have the whole thing covered in Versamark in embossing powder. So I'm just going to clean this out really well. Okay. And while that's drying for a second, I'm going to take my embossing buddy and I'm just going to pass it over my piece of Pretty Peacock. Okay. So that nothing outside of what we want to stick is going to stick. That's the goal anyway, but you know, things never go as planned. So anyways, you're just going to make sure that all the lace, all the doilies are covered in Versamark ink. Don't want to push too hard because that's how you get it into that negative space, and we don't want that. Okay. Take your piece of cardstock, lay the side down, and then run that through your machine like normal. Good morning. Okay, so we've got our piece. Let's see how well it works. Let me move that back out of the way here. And we're going to get our little embossing tray. This is always the magical part. I'm going to use my tweezers to hold on to this thing. And we're going to cover it in gold. Use the whole container. We want to make sure we get it nice and covered. Ooh, that's what we want to see. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to leave the tweezers on. Pour this back into my tray or in my little container. Isn't this cool? And you can do this with so many different things. With all the different embossing folders. And I've seen people emboss and use the brayer to add color. You can use ink. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool technique. All right, here we go. We're going to heat set this. This takes a bit. Okay. Whew. Too bad there's not a fast forward button in real life, huh? Okay, so there's that doily. Look how gorgeous that is. Oh my gosh. You could even distress it some more by taking some Pretty Peacock ink and rubbing it along the cardstock. Let's try that. Let's see how much I actually ruin this. Look at my little catch-all. My little catch-all bin. I keep a lot of used sponge daubers in here because that's how I roll. All right, so let's use our, well, now I'm thinking I don't want to use sponge dauber, but anyways, you can run this through and it gives it kind of this aged look too. Look at that. Look at that. So pretty. And I'm not being careful whatsoever because I kind of want it to look, you know, distressed and aged and ooh. It looks like antiqued gold, you know, tarnished maybe. It's kind of cool. Look at that. Doesn't that look just really pretty? Okay. Maybe I want this to be distressed. That's kind of cool. Where's my little distress tool? I had a distress tool. It's not in here, but Feline gave me a distress tool to distress the edges. And I'm kind of going off script here. I always do that to you guys. I apologize. But wouldn't this look so cool with some distressing? When you don't have your distress tool, just use your scissors. But you know, now that I've done this with this piece, I have to do it with the whole card, huh? See what happens? All right, look at that. Look how pretty this is. It's like aged, distressed, so pretty. Okay, let me get my dauber again because now I'm going to have to do the very vanilla layer. I'm just going to do it real quick. Just passing it along the edge here so it kind of ties in. All right, so we're going to, once we've got this distress, so we're going to glue those two together. I feel like I got to distress this piece too a little bit. Okay. I'm probably like, you ruined it, but I kind of like variety. Yeah. Sandy's like, I like that aged look. Yeah. It's like a very, you know, it's different. It's cool. I like it. I'm happy. All right. So we've got our, it almost has like that Asian flair now, right? Like that. It's got that kind of Oriental flair to it. All right. Now I have to find my ribbon because I don't know where the heck I put it, but what did I do with it? This is my life. This is my life. Did I throw it? Super weird. What did I do with that ribbon? I haven't seen it since I started working. That's okay. I have a new one. Oh, no, it's right here in front of my face. Okay. So this is the metallic Pretty Peacock ribbon. This is so pretty, you guys. It's super thin. It's really easy to tie. It's got some metal, like, or gold kind of weaving in it. And so it's great to work with. I actually really, really like it. So I'm going to tie it down, a knot down at the bottom of the paper. Scrappy chic. Scrappy shake. Jenny's like, we don't know your script, so you don't have to say you're sorry when you go off the script. Okay, all right. Call attention to the obvious. That's true. I don't even know what my script is, so none of us know what the scripts should be. All right, so we've got our distressed little card front here. What I'm going to do is glue it to the front here. Now, I do not want any glue to go above that line, and I'm not going to go all the way out to the edges because this is like 1/8 of an inch too short, right? So I'm just going to put some glue at the bottom of this card, and then I'm going to put some right there at the top, and then I'm going to lay this down. So now I make sure I've got glue all the way up to the fold, but not past the fold. And I've got my card base glued down to I've got my card front glued down to my card base. So you just want to make sure that everything is nice and glued down and it's not past that score line. Okay, cool. All right, so there is our start. Now we need to cut a Thoughtful Expressions die. Where are my dies? Oh, right here in front of my face. We need to cut a Thoughtful Expressions die. And I believe it was this size. Yep. Okay, so we're going to cut that size. And then one size bigger is the size we're going to cut out a Pretty Peacock. And I need to find a scrap big enough for that. Which here I have one. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut those. We also need to stamp and cut our hummingbird. We can do that. And then we also need to die cut these labels too. So let's do that as well. So I believe I used the 2 smallest labels. The bigger one will be in Pretty Peacock. The smaller one will be in Very Vanilla. So I'm just going to do this off screen real quick. And guess what? We have to distress these as well. Because I started it, now I've got to finish it, right? Okay, so there's those. And then let's do these 2. Ow! You ever have the handle like come and whack the back of your hand? That's what happened. Okay. Now we got to do our hummingbird in Very Vanilla. So I'm going to grab a scrap of Very Vanilla and we are going to emboss it. So let me get the stamp out. Anybody else store their dies or store their stamps in the rubber frame? I never get rid of my rubber frame. I always use it to, so I know that I've got all my stamps back and that they're all going to fit, and I'm weird. I'm weird like that. I just was curious if anybody else was weird like me. Okay, passing my embossing buddy on my scrap, and I'm going to bring my little tray in here for my embossing. Put these back in here so I don't lose them. And we're going to Versamark ink. You do the same thing, Karen? Sweet. I'm not the only one. Oh, you don't put the stickers on? Oh, I love the stickers. Now that they're cling stickers, I love them. But don't leave them on your blocks or else it's like impossible to get them off. That's the only caveat to having the stickers on. All right, so we're going to cover this in gold. Look at that. Pretty, pretty hummingbird. I'm about to make it sparkle. Okay. All righty. Oh, we need to do a flower too. We might as well do that for the inside. So let's get a little flower. Stamp that. And we'll cover that in gold. Ah, I touched my hummingbird, dang it. My big old thumbs. That's all right. I saved it. Sort of. Ruined it again. You guys ever play that game with your embossing powder? It's like, Okay, so that's good. Let's go ahead. These Stampin' Up! Embossing trays are the best. All right, so we're going to heat set that real quick, and then we'll do some coloring. Isn't it gorgeous? Yes, Jenny. At least the two of us will be weirdos together. Okay. So now we're going to color our hummingbird. And like I said, I kept it super simple. All I did was Pretty Peacock and the SU 800. So we're going to do that. Get our Pretty Peacock blends, if I can find them. And SU 800 is just a skin tone. We have a couple skin tones to choose from, and this is the one I chose. All right, so we're going to go in with our light Pretty Peacock and kind of do a base. And I'm just using the brush tip because it's the easiest way to get all of the spaces in between the embossing and make sure that there's no white showing through. So it's kind of like I just kind of painted in there. So much easier to stay in the lines with embossing too, which is really nice. So I'm just going to cover the tail area. And up above on the top of the head. And, I went out of the lines and into the beak a little bit. Okay. And then I take my dark and I just do some shadows where I think that it would be darker. Add some shadow into the wings and into the back and down on the tail. And if you want, go back over with your light and just kind of blend those edges a little bit, so it's not so obvious. Okay, then you're going to take your S800, SU800, and do under the eye and around the body, like that. Okay, so that's it. Two colors. And then for the flower, I did Pretty Peacock for the leaf. So light Pretty Peacock. I'm on the lines again. That's what I get for using the brush tip. And then for the inside, I used Pale Petal Pink. I kind of felt like it went with the color scheme we had going on. So pebble pink, that, and a little light daffodil delight for the center. Okay. All right. That's it for these guys. And we will die cut them out. I do want to do a little bit of color correcting right there where I got out of the lines a little bit. Okay. All right, so now we're going to die cut these guys. And where's my flower? If I put them back where they belong, it won't be such a mess later on, right? Okay, there's my flower. And definitely want to use your washi tape because you don't want all that hard work you just did with the coloring to go to waste. Okay, so I'm going to die cut these real quick. Even if you're not a big flower person, I feel like the set is just so cool. You know, the dies are a must, obviously, right? We get it. The dies you have to have, but like the stamp set is also really nice. The sentiments are very nice. Okay, so now we're going to use our Pretty Peacock ink again, and we're going to distress our labels. And I messed up there, but we'll cover it up with the hummingbird. Okay. Kind of got this like green tint to it. It's probably because my sponge has green on it. If I used a clean sponge, it probably wouldn't be so green, but that's okay. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I should sponge the edges of my hummingbird. I guess we are. I guess I'm doing it. Oh, I want to be careful under the belly because I don't want to get the white part green. I mean, we're going for it, so we'll just go for it, right? Okay. So there's all of our little pieces and parts. Now we're going to stamp the sentiment. So we're going to use Pretty Peacock for that as well. The two sentiments that I chose are sometimes there are no words, and you're in my thoughts today. So this is a sentiment, like a sympathy type card, and I thought these were very sweet little sentiments to let somebody know that you're thinking about them. And I think I might actually switch the order that these are in. So I think this one, sometimes there are no words. I think that's going to go on the inside. And you're in my thoughts today. I'm going to put that on the outside this time. So I've got one of each. And I also want to keep in mind, I want the rounded top part to be the top. Okay, that was not straight, but that's okay. Then we will, sorry, I don't know why my throat's getting all funky right now. Okay, so let's glue all these pieces and parts together. So we're going to put our labels together. Like that. Like that. And then I use dimensionals to put them on my card. Okay, so this one goes right in the center. And then our hummingbird is going to go right above. And what we want to do is put dimensionals where it's not going to be touching the circle. So the wings and the tail, part of the tail will not be touching the labels. So we'll put dimensionals there. And the rest of it, we'll put a little touch of glue just to kind of help it. Too close to the words. There we go. Okay, so there's our hummingbird in the front. And then for the inside, we need a piece of Very Vanilla. So I'm going to cut a piece of Very Vanilla down to 4 by 5 1/4. And guess what? We got to distress it. Ink it up and distress it. So where are my scissors at? Where are my scissors hiding? Oh, they're there. And we will messy, messy, messy. Okay. So we'll glue that down. Thank you, Sandy. Yes, I love Pretty Peacock. One of my favorite colors. I almost painted my house Pretty Peacock. I'm not going to lie. It is one of my favorites. Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie, did you see me? I tagged you in the video you were looking for with the donkeys. Did you see that last night? You might not have seen it just because it was late last night, but I found it. Trying to decide where I want my little flower. I think right there is good. Okay, so there you go. So this one is the distressed roughed up version. And this one is the clean version. So, you know, very different. Even though they're the same colors. Oops, come back. They look very different, but I love them. I love the hummingbird. Super pretty. I like the distressing. It's kind of cool. It just adds a little bit something extra. Okay, so that's the first card. Hope you guys like that. The second card is another technique, which I mentioned was the mirroring, the mirror image, and how to get your hummingbird image to flip to the opposite direction. So, and on top of that, I have this really cool template to show you for a fun card base. And it's super easy. You guys are going to be like, oh my gosh. So I'm going to show you how to make the template. I learned from a gal online, and she made it so easy. So hopefully I can do the same for you. And let me show you that technique here. Let me get the card. So it's here where it's got like this split in the card. Look at my hummingbird. I just love that hummingbird. Lost Lagoon and Fresh Freesia, you guys. So pretty. And that paper, Flight and Airy, is just stunning. And this would make a really good anniversary card. I love that. It's like, where in the world would I be without you? Isn't that cute? Okay, so to make this type of card, we're going to make a template. I'm going to show you guys. And you can take printer paper or cardstock. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. 5 1/4. You just want your scrap, whatever it's going to be. 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. And you need a ruler and a pencil. And once you do this once, you never have to do it again. So I promise. It's that simple. On the left side of your card, from the top, measure down to 1/2 inch and make a little mark. So 1/2 inch, make a mark. Okay, so I've got my little tiny itty bitty mark, and it's okay if there's pencil showing because this is just our template. And then from the 1/2 inch mark, go down another 1/4 inch, and make a second mark. So you've got 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch basically is what it is. Okay, and then from this side, from the right side down, mark at 3 inches. Okay, and then from this side, mark at 3 inches. Okay, so we've got 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 3 inch, and 3 inch. So from here, it's 3 inches. From here, oops, here, it's 3 inches. And then this is 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch. Okay, so super simple. Make yourself a little template. That's where you want to be. Okay, now we're not done. We are, once we've made our template, then we're going to put it in our trimmer, and we are going to line up from the first score line, that 1/2 inch score line, down to the 3 inch score line. And we're going to line those up in the track of our trimmer. And we're going to cut. Okay. And it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it just has to be that general shape. So then you're going to take the second score line, or not score line, but our little mark here at 3/4 inch, and you're going to cut it down to 3 inches, to that 3 inch mark. So you're left with 3 pieces that look like this. Okay. Now take your designer series paper, whatever it is that you want to use. You can also emboss paper, and that's a really pretty background too. So I'm using 2 pieces of Flight and Airy, and this is the Celebration paper. And I thought this was really pretty, Lost Lagoon kind of color. And then it's got these beautiful birds here. And if you wanted to see what it would look like, because you can actually, by cutting 2 pieces of designer series paper, you could actually have 2 different cards. You can have a card that looks like this, and you can have a card that looks like this, right? So kind of the opposite. You've got the green on the outside with the little pop of color of the bird on the inside, or you have the flowers on the outside and the pop of green in the inside. So let's go ahead and let me make sure this is 4 by 5 1/4, because I think this is a little wide. 4 by 5 1/4 and 4 by 5 1/4. Yep. Okay. So we're going to cut both pieces just so I can show you the 2 different kind of layouts. One option you have is to just cut the outer layers and leave this as a solid. You can do that. And actually that kind of helps you line everything up a little bit. Or you can cut them, if you're going to do a whole bunch of them and you want different variety, you can cut the 2 at the same time and then have different layouts. So I'm going to cut them both at the same time so you can see. So we have our first template that's just lined up at the top corner here, and it's basically going to be our guide. You can use some temporary glue too if you want to hold it down, but I'm just going to put it where it goes and cut. Doesn't have to be perfect. Again, nothing needs to be lined up. And then we're going to take the bottom portion, and when we cut the bottom part of our template, we're going to automatically get the middle piece. So we don't have to cut this 3 times. It's just 2 cuts, and that's it. So we're going to put this in the track where it goes and cut. Okay. So this is what I was talking about, where you can keep your little templates for later. Once you make them, you have them forever. but now we have two different versions of the same card. Isn't that cool? Just kind of like piecing it together. All right. And the other thing that I like is having the, you can also flip it. Like you could have, well, you can't flip it. Never mind. You could have it going the other direction too, coming from the other direction, but that's pretty paper right there on that side too. The other thing is you can have a little border of cardstock, and I really like that look. So to do the little border of cardstock, I'm dropping things. You want two scraps, and this is also a great way to use up your scraps. So we'll do Lost Lagoon for that one, and then let's pick a color like Fresh Freesia on that one. Ooh, that'll be pretty. So you just cut some thin scraps that are long enough, and we're going to glue them to the edges to make our little edge. Okay, so we'll do Fresh Freesia on this one. So what you do is you take some liquid glue, and I like to put it on the inside of the DSP. Oops, that's going to be a lot. So just line it up at the edge, about 1/8 of an inch of a border. See? So you would do that on both pieces. And this one's just barely long enough. Okay, so we'll trim those off. Let's do the same thing with this one. So you can literally make two different versions of the same card. Why waste it, right? Why waste this pretty designer series paper? Okay. So once you've got your little strips glued on, you're going to cut. You're just going to cut the edges off. So that little triangle there, that little piece there, there, and there. Okay. Let's do the same on these ones. So there, there, 1 and 2. Okay. All right. The other thing you want, so for our Lost Lagoon version, we are going to take, and I like to have a little layer, a little border. So I will take my Lost Lagoon, I cut it down to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, so I have a border. And then what I'm going to do is glue, oh wait. Yeah. No, did I do that right? No, I didn't. Okay, it's all right. I'm going to glue my pieces around and leave a border around the Lost Lagoon. So the first thing I want to do is glue my center in, and this one's going to be glued just flat to the card. My goodness, what's going on here? I got a goober in there. It's blocking my glue. Trying to spread it out now. I know some of you hate liquid glue and it's so messy, but it's still my glue of choice. Even after all the heartburn it gives us. Okay. So we are going to kind of eyeball this a little bit. It's a little harder when you cut both pieces of DSP. But you're just going to make sure you have a thin little border around the top and the bottom. And then I liked the look of putting dimensionals behind the outer edges, outer borders pieces, so that it just created more depth and it just looked really cool. It uses a lot of dimensionals, so decide if that's a thing you want to do, but I just think it looks really cool. Okay, so then we're going to take this and line it up so that there's a thin border around the top and sides. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Okay. And the same thing there. All right. So then you just pop that onto a card base, and I picked white just because the background of the interior, the background of the DSP is white. So I picked a thick whisper white or basic white background and put that on there. So that is using the opposite pieces. Now let's do the same thing with the fresh freesia piece, which I'm going to use fresh freesia as my background layer. So 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 for this one. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the other one. It's kind of cool. I didn't actually intend on making 2 cards, but I was like, well, let's just take a look and see what it turns out to be. So I'm just making sure that the space between this edge and these edges are the same. Okay. And then dimensionals on these ones. The nice thing about the cardstock layer behind the DSP is that it makes it sturdier too. Okay, so this one will go there, and then this one will go at the top. Okay. So you've got, this is kind of a different, same exact thing, but just 2 different, they kind of look different, you know, we've got different colors going on, but it's the same DSP, just in a different order. So it's kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to get a card base to glue this one on. And then I'll show you how I colored the hummingbird and complete this. Okay. Thank you guys. I'm glad you're liking it. So here's our finished one again. So we're going to we're going to stamp and color our little hummingbird. And I'm just going to find some scraps if I can. I never have the scrap size I want, you know? I'm like buried in scraps that I never can find. Haha. The size I want. Okay, so we're going to stamp this in Memento Black so that we can color with our blends. So ink that up really well. I'm going to do 2 because we have 2 cards. I love that we have a die for this hummingbird. Makes my heart happy. Otherwise, I don't know if it would be worth the fussy cutting that's involved. All right, so Fresh Freesia and Lost Lagoon. Okay. So my method is, oh, dumb. I'm so dumb. You guys, I'm supposed to show you the mirror image because we want our hummingbird to face the other way. Okay, let me reset. So we are going to do the hummingbird on our silicone mat and transfer the image to our paper as a mirror image. So to do that, same thing, we are going to ink up our bird, our hummingbird, and we're going to stamp right on the silicone mat. And I'd like to kind of hold it on there for a second and let the ink transfer off of the stamp onto the mat. And I'm doing 2 just because I'm going to see if I can get 2 to work. Okay, and then you want to kind of huff. Keep the ink moisturized, and then you're going to transfer onto your cardstock. So you just lay your cardstock over the top. Make sure that the ink has transferred. And voila, you have 2 backward hummingbirds. Isn't that cool? Super easy. Silicone mat, you just wipe off. The ink comes right off. And you can clean your stamp too while you're at it. Okay, and now we're going to color our hummingbirds. And that's it. I tend to, rather than try and line the die up on the back side of the paper when I go to die cut it, I just fussy cut them. When you're doing a mirror image, it's almost sometimes easier to just fussy cut. So Light Lost Lagoon is how I start with the base. So I use the brush tip and I just color the entire wing. In Light Lost Lagoon. And this is the back of the bird, so we want to do the back. And then the top of the head. Okay, same thing on this one. We're going to do the same thing. I love this color. And this is like the perfect hummingbird color, if you ask me. Okay, and then I'm going to go in with my dark Lost Lagoon, and I'm just going to do some shading on the wings and in the body of the hummingbird. And it's really nice because the stamp kind of tells you where the shadow is. So you don't even really have to guess. And I colored outside the lines again because that's my favorite. Okay, and then for the chest area, the body of the bird, I take that Fresh Freesia and kind of pass, and this is the light, kind of pass it around, leaving the stomach white. And then I go in with the dark fresh freesia, and I right up against where the Lost Lagoon is, I just do a little bit darker there. And then I can take my light if I need to add a little bit more light and just kind of blend and pull that in. Okay, so same thing over here. We're going to use the Lost Lagoon Dark to kind of add some shadow. Some shadow on the wings. Okay, and then we're going to take the fresh freesia. And we're going to add some dark. So pretty. These two colors together are just really, really pretty. Now, I feel like I went a little too far on the chest, so I'm using my corrector to kind of pick that color back up. And I went out of the wings a little bit here too. So I'm going to clean this up a bit. Okay. All right, so that's it for the hummingbirds. Cute, right? Putting my blends away. Now, if I were using the Stamparatus, I could stamp the opposite side of my card and be able to die cut it, but I don't, you know, we don't have the Stamparatus anymore. I have it, but we can't sell it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you how to do it if you don't have the Stamparatus, which is by Handy Dandy Scissors, which is not too bad. It's not the worst thing I've ever had to cut, but the feathers are a pain. And do your best to try and leave a little bit of a white border so it looks like it got die cut. Not necessary, but kind of appealing to the eye a little bit to have that white border. And I never do a good job. Like, I'll do really good and leave a white border in some areas, and then I'm like right on the black. I'm like, oh man, why can't I just be consistent? So for those of you that are watching that are part of the retreat that's coming up, the Bee Treat in Ellensburg in March, I'm going to be sending out a reminder today. It is the last day to sign up for swaps. And I'm also going to be advertising the 2 add-on classes today. So be watching for that. Those of you that got it, got the class virtually, you can also do the add-on classes. I will be sending you that information as well. So, okay. All right, so there's one hummingbird done. Not too bad, right? I'm sorry, my picture seems a bit blurry. I don't know. I think it's my camera on my phone. It's not the best, but there's my one hummingbird. I have so many hummingbirds. I've been coloring them all day. But I recommend the best way that you're going to get better at coloring these hummingbirds is by playing around with it. You saw how many I had to color until I started to feel comfortable with it. So don't think that you're going to love like the first combination. You're probably going to hate it like I did. And then you're going to leave it alone and come back and you'll be like, oh, it's really pretty, but you're not going to like it when you first do it. So don't be too hard on yourself because it's an experiment. So take some scraps, take some blends, and see what looks pretty. Oh, and Google is your friend. Google coloring hummingbirds. Google pictures of hummingbirds, and you will see there's so many different versions of colors that people use. And you can get some ideas of like, oh, I really like this blue one. And then try to find a blend that matches that and go away, go with it. So I like the colorful wings For me, it's easier, like especially when I'm making a card, to match my paper that I want to use to my hummingbird. So like whatever the designer series paper is, I let that kind of inspire me to what colors I'm going to use, because I want my hummingbird to match the paper. I don't want it to be like super different, right? Like I don't want it to be like, that's weird. It doesn't go with that. Okay, so now I'm going to cut some labels out of the dies for my sentiment. And we are going to cut, I think it's the second to smallest label for our sentiment. And our sentiment will just barely fit, but we'll make it work. And then the other thing we need to cut are a bunch of greenery to go behind our hummingbird. So I've got 2 of those, and we can cut them out of Lost Lagoon scraps. So I have a scrap of Lost Lagoon, so we'll do that now. So we'll set these beauties aside, and we will get to die cutting. Ugh, heavy. So I think I can cut them both at the same time if I can get my fingers to work. Boy, I'm getting hungry for lunch. Hungry. I have a feeling this is going to be a long live. I've already been live for an hour and I've only made 1 card. Oh yeah, my mom has a bunch of hummingbird feeders and she gets a lot of hummingbirds in the summer. So I always think of her now when I make these hummingbird cards. Okay. Let's keep going. Get some more leaves and 1 more label. I wish we had more leaf dies. You could also punch some. They don't have to be from this set, but oops. Cut a couple more. You love long lives? Well, I'm glad. Are you crafting alongside me? Are you making some swaps or some pillow gifts? It's kind of nice not to craft alone. You know what I mean? So if you use my live to craft alongside me, that's awesome. I love that. If you watch my live while you are on a lazy Sunday morning, just reading the newspaper and you have me in the background, I love that too. The name of this stamp set is called Thoughtful Expressions. And the dies are Thoughtful Expression dies. And it's in the mini catalog. There's actually DSP that goes along with this. I think it must be a suite. It must be its own suite, I think. I don't have my catalog near me, but anybody want to tell me what page this Thoughtful Expressions is on in the catalog? I think that should be enough leaves. We can put this together. All right, so we're going to stamp the sentiment. Where in the world would I be without you? I love that. I love that sentiment. Where in the world would I be without you? And I'm going to stamp this in Lost Lagoon just because that's kind of the coordinating color for this card. Where would I be? Oh, and you know what? I cut these in Very Vanilla. That was dumb with me. I don't know why I did that. I need to cut these labels in Basic White. So let me cut that again. Whoopsie. Oopsie doopsie. I thought, I was like, this looks off. Oh yeah, because I'm cutting in Very Vanilla. Because I'm slow. So I'll tell you guys, I'll tell you guys what I have to do. Yeah, the dies are awesome, aren't they, Susan? So let's see. Anybody tell me? Page 61, someone said. Page 61. Is Josiah watching? I swear Josiah's like my biggest fan. Hi, Josiah. It just shocks me that like a cool kid would want to watch me. Okay. All right, so we did our labels. You can see they just barely fit. Super tiny. This one I went off a little bit, but that's okay. All right, so what the heck is going on here? There we go. All right, so we're going to start kind of assembling these guys. I'm going to pop these up on dimensionals. I want to know what you guys think, which one you like the best. So either the Fresh Frisia one or the Lost Lagoon. They're so similar though, right? It's just even the changing in the order of the DSP just changes the look of the card so much. But I did make this, I did make the hummingbirds the same. So trying to decide what's the best way to create your little nest of leaves. I think, honestly, for me, it's just going to be like, just kind of, you know, kind of around the hummingbird, just coming off the hummingbird in the corner. So I'm going to put some liquid glue behind the hummingbird. And then I'm going to, if I want my hummingbird to kind of come down like this, I'm going to kind of glue the leaves back behind, maybe, back behind the hummingbird. Like so. And then I've got to figure out where the dimensionals are going to go. Kind of a method to my madness, not really, but that one's too low. It's got to be more like this. Okay, so I'm going to put a dimensional here and here just to kind of pop up the hummingbird, and then I'm going to put a little bit of more glue on the tail. Kind of glue that down and then secure that. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing on this side with the remaining leaves. I think I would rather do glue dots this time because it's just kind of a pain in the butt to glue. I don't like the way this last leaf is shaped. Like, I feel like because of its location, like it gets left out of the card. It's super weird. Just a weird, like you can't even see it. Let's do one coming out this way. Let's do one coming up the top. I'm going to add another one down here for this one. There we go. That way it looks a little bit fuller. And we'll do another one right here. Okay, so let's do the same thing. We'll put 2 dimensionals here and here because we know those will be in the center, and then put some liquid glue on the wings and the tail. And we'll stick this bad boy down. Like so. Nice. Okay. So there's our 2 versions right there. And I am going to add just a little bow. You could also add some, I put this one a lot lower, didn't I? I don't think I can fix that. Ugh. Nope, I'm hurting it. I'm hurting it. I just think it's too low now. Gotta hide my boo-boo a little bit. I don't know. Okay, so there's our 2 versions there, and then we're gonna do a double bow down at the bottom. But yes, you could add some embellishments to it to kind of give a little sparkle. It'd be fun. I did not have the album class yesterday because I only had 1 person locally sign up, and so we're just going to do the virtual next Saturday. And that's too small. So I spent yesterday prepping. I got the albums, all the albums prepped, and they went out in the mail. Creativity delivered, out in the mail. Today's to-do list after my live is to type tutorials and record videos. And I told my husband, I said, if I try to make excuses and not work, you send my butt back to the computer. No excuses. Got to get it done today. Because I always think, I'll make time tomorrow. And then I don't have time to make tomorrow. And then it leads into another weekend. And I just can't. I'm like, I can't keep procrastinating. Everything is coming due at the same time. Okay. So there's that. And let's put some glue dots on our bows. And then I just kind of stuck my bow down at the bottom of my label. Isn't that cute? I think this is my favorite version, but this is really nice too. They're both really sweet. Okay. So that's a cool technique. So now you know how to do the mirroring technique, and you know how to do this fun card design. Okay. All right, card number 3. This one's a fancy fold. If you are late and you didn't see it in the beginning, it looks like this. And when you open it, it's a kind of a Z fold, and it has that pretty bird in the hummingbird. Okay, so I'm going to change up the colors a little bit because you guys know how I am. You know, I do it one way and then I want to change it up and try it a different way. So I'm going to change up the colors on this one. I'm still going to use Pecan Pie as my base, but I think I want to use Misty Moonlight instead of Flirty Flamingo and see what I think about that. Because my hummingbird is Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to try that. We'll see how they look together. It might be the worst idea I've ever had in my life, but it might also be brilliant. You never know. So we got our card base, which is Pecan Pie, which I loved using all fall. It was like the best fall color ever. And Christmas, gingerbread, anything related to gingerbread. I used a lot of Pecan Pie. Even for some album classes, we went crazy with the Pecan Pie, didn't we, Terry? Okay, so card base, and then Misty Moonlight, I'm going to cut down to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I actually need 2 pieces of this, so I'll go ahead and get another piece and do that. Never know until you try. I'm the worst at picking colors. I'm actually the worst. Oops, that's not going to work. I have all these scraps and I'm trying to use them up, but some of them are not going to work. Okay. So 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 for the Misty Moonlight layer. And then for the DSP, we need 2 of those. And then for the DSP that I use, this is the Flight and Airy. Oh, actually, I have a piece cut already. Flight and Airy, and this one is the kind of lattice looking one. So this one I cut to 4 by 5 1/4. See, look how pretty that's going to be. Oh, so pretty. Love the color together. And then this, I'm going to cut to 1 7/8. By 5 1/8. And you need 2 of them. Okay, so those 2. Okay, and then we need a piece of basic white cardstock, and that's going to be 5 1/4 by 8. And then it's going to be scored at 4 and at 2. Okay, so that's the inside piece. All right. Excuse me. Okay, so for the outside, what we're going to do here is we are going to glue these 2 together. The DSP and the Misty Moonlight layer, we can glue those 2 together. Okay. Now, without gluing it, we are going to lay this over the top of our pecan pie layer. Okay. And we're going to get our dies. So we want, for the dies for the window, we are going to use the second to largest circle-ish shape. Okay. So we're going to run that through, and you won't be able to cut all the way through 3 layers of cardstock or 3 layers of paper. So we're going to have to do it twice, but we want to do it once so that we kind of have the marks of where it should be, and then we'll cut the second time. So that'll make sense here in a second. So what we're going to do is we've got everything kind of lined up. Put our die in the center, and we're going to run it through. Oh, for sure. My favorite brown too. Hi, Becky. Aw, thanks, Becky. That's so sweet. You would do that? Okay, so now we are going to remove the blue and the DSP, and we're going to cut again. But we're going to just line up the die back into the holes that we cut, and we're going to run it through one more time. Okay, so we've got this window, and now when we go to glue this down, we can line it up and it will be all straight and everything will be perfect, right? Because everything's always perfect for us. Excuse me. Now we need another scrap or another piece of pecan pie because we're going to cut the window, cut the frame. So cut a piece of pecan pie, a full sheet in half. And what you're going to do is take your largest die and the second largest die, and you're going to line them up. And what I have noticed is that there's like a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. Like sometimes I feel like the window lines up better some ways than others. I don't know why. So like I don't like the way that's lining up, so I just kind of turn it. That one's looking a bit better. And definitely use your washi tape because this thing is trying to pull, and I want an even space around all the edges. So we're going to go ahead and cut that. And we have to do it. We have to do once like this to create our frame. There's our frame. Don't rip, please. Didn't cut all the way. That's weird. Okay, so there's our frame. And then we're going to do one that's just the outer edge. And that's going to be for the inside. This is the largest die. Okay, and then take the second largest die, take a scrap of white cardstock, and cut that out. This is for the inside piece. All right. Now I think we have all of our little pieces cut. Okay. All right, so here's what we've got so far. We've got our base. Where's my... the heck happened to my bone folder? Here it is. Okay, so here's my base. And then I've got my DSP and my Misty Moonlight that's going to go right over top of that. So let's glue it. Like that. I like the blue. I think I like it more than the pink, but they're both kind of pretty. All right, and then for the inside, I can glue my blue piece down. Now, before I glue the white piece down, I want to do some stamping because in case I mess up, I can throw it away and start again. So on the side, this is the side that has those two score lines. This side, it does not. So I'm just going to take this corner and just stamp a flower. Okay. Okay, so my stamping was decent. I feel like I trust my coloring skills. I can color it once it's in there. So now I'm going to fold and fold my creases to make my little zigzag. And on the back, I'm going to put my adhesive. My liquid glue is dying. And then I'm going to put this over top of the blue. And I just want to center that as best I can. Okay. All right, and then I have my two labels here, which I'm going to adhere together. Make sure that they line up along all the edges. Don't do this to me. Okay, like that. Now, for the outside, we have our little frame that we cut. So we're going to glue the frame on by putting adhesive around the outside of it, or the back side of it, I should say. And then we're going to adhere it down. Look at that pretty frame. I love it. Okay. Now, the easiest way that I found to glue this, this one right perfectly inside and only on this edge is to do this, is to line it up with, I want that messed up edge to be where the flower is going to be. So line it up so that it's correct in the window. Okay. And then put adhesive just on the one side, the side closest to the outer edge. Okay. Don't go too far into the middle. And then take this aside and bring it down, and it will glue onto that edge. See? So now I know that it's going to line up perfectly once it's inside the frame, and it's only adhered to the one side. And I did it before I glued my DSP down. Darn it. I have to do that again. So I have these 2 strips of DSP I told you that were 5 1/8 by 1 7/8. They need to go on these panels first before we glue that down. Whoopsie. Good thing I was able to take that off before it dried. Okay, so there's our little pretty lattice pattern. Let's try this again. So we're going to put our label in the window, line it up, take our adhesive, and fold it over. Okay. So now, there we go. Yay. Okay, so let's take a scrap of paper and we're going to stamp some flowers and color those. And we're going to color, I already have hummingbird stamps, so I'm going to color one of the hummingbirds. And then we're going to assemble everything. So there are 3 pretty flowers in this set. And we are going to stamp all 3. Basically using every stamp in the stamp set. Can you believe it? How often do I do that? Not very often. So we are going to stamp this big cluster of flowers. And we're going to stamp the little cluster of flowers, or just the one flower, the single flower. And then this one here, we're going to stamp twice. I want 2 of them. I think I actually want 3 of them. Okay, there we go. Now, the color green in this designer series paper is Mossy Meadow. So get your Mossy Meadow blends. Get your Flirty Flamingo, because that's a color in this set. You want Misty Moonlight, because that's a color in this set. And I think that's it. So we're gonna play with these colors. Oh, and then you want a yellow for the center of the flower. So I want to do some Misty Moonlight flowers because there is some blue flowers in the designer series paper. So I kind of want to do a Mod Podge of the 2. So I think I'm gonna do the cluster of 2 in blue. What is this? No, this is Light Night of Navy. Nope, I don't want that. I want Misty Moonlight. Misty Moonlight is a much darker color. And I think my Night of Navy is dying. And I just want to be careful and try to stay in the lines. This is the light Misty Moonlight. I'm going to use my fine tip to get the edges because I don't want to go outside the lines. Now, this set is pretty artsy. So there's like some lines that go out of the lines. It's like, it's very artsy. It's very whimsical, not whimsical, but no barking. So it's sometimes you have to kind of make creative decisions about where the flower petal ends or where it begins. So there's some weird ones in this set. You'll kind of see that. So I'm adding some shadow and some darkness in the centers of the flower petals, just for some depth. And we'll do a yellow center. And then for this flower, I want to do the Flirty Flamingo. So we're going to do the same thing. Coloring the majority of it in light. Flirty Flamingo, just getting the edges. Okay, going in with my dark to get some shading. And I'm not being very specific or very accurate. It doesn't have to be. Center yellow, like so. For these little flowers, I think I'm going to do a mixture as well. It's kind of relaxing to color all these little pieces and parts. Okay, now time for the leaves, which are Mossy Meadow. Use your fine tip and do your best to fill in the leaves. You're gonna go out of the lines. They're not really well defined, and some of the stems are super skinny, so just do your best. Does not have to be perfect. And again, I don't really know where one line stops and when the next starts, so your guess is as good as mine with these. And then these little petals. So relaxing. You can get lost in coloring for a long time. I know some of you hate coloring, so look away. Look away while the coloring is happening. Okay, almost done. Almost done. I do like to go in with my dark Mossy Meadow, and I like to kind of fill in the stems just to give it some depth. Just kind of follow the stem line a little bit. Just gives it a little bit of color. Okay, now for the hummingbird. Yay, my favorite part. So we're gonna do the wings in, golly, that was horrible. Let's try this again. We're gonna do the wings in Misty Moonlight. I'm gonna outline. My brush tip on the Misty Moonlight is not looking hot. The problem with my blends is they get used for classes and retreats, and I cannot protect how people use them, so the edges get beat up pretty badly. Okay. Not everybody's going to be as gentle with my blends as I am. Okay. So there's the outline, and I'm going to just fill it in with the brush tip. Okay, and then I'm going to take my dark and do some shading. And that's just going to be where I'm going to let the stamp kind of tell me where that's going to be, where it's going to be dark. Right? Where there's a lot of lines, it's dark. Where there's not a lot of lines, it's light. All right, Flirty Flamingo time. So we're going to take the light Flirty Flamingo, do underneath the face, and wrap around the belly. Take the dark and go right up against the blue. Now it would be kind of cool to take some of this pink and put it into the tips of the feathers too. Let's try that. There we go. I love that you can mix the colors. All right, so we're going to stop there. We're going to die cut all these pieces, and then we're going to assemble this card. It's going to look so pretty. So we need basically almost every die in here. We need this guy here, and dang it, my washi tape overlapped itself. Oh, it's going to be so pretty with the blue flowers. And this one. And hummingbird. And we got this one that we'll cut out 3 times. And then we need just a scrap of Mossy Meadow to cut the leaves. So we're going to cut some leaves to add around the images that we colored. Okay. So let's do that. Put these away later. Move them out of the way. My dog caused your dog to bark. Misty Moonlight and Flirty Flamingo. Yes, that's the colors of my hummingbird this time. Well, first Bailey started barking, which caused Cashew to bark. You know, it's always a package deal. Bailey barks at everything that passes our house, whether it's a car, whether it's a person walking by, a dog, whatever, she barks. Cashew will only bark if Bailey gets all crazy. Bailey hates everything and everyone. So she's such a joy to have in my life. I'm so grateful for her. It's very frustrating. Like, we go on walks and, you know, Cashew doesn't care about other dogs. She loves people. So she's always trying to go up to people. Bailey barks and gets all aggressive and crazy at people and at dogs. So walking her is horrible. It's a nightmare. And Cashew pulls so hard. You wouldn't think that a little dog like her could be so strong, but she's very strong. And it's very frustrating. It's like, I need to figure out how to train my dogs on the leash because I hate it. It's a miserable experience for everybody. All right, that should be it for leaves. So annoying that you have to spend the time poking them. poking them out of the die. Okay, and then we got those other pieces that we colored that we need to die cut. And then we can assemble it. Bailey is sweet, but super annoying on the leash and all the time. She's mean to our cats. She hates cats, so she's mean to our cats. Our cats are terrified. She barks all the time. She wants to go in and out, in and out, in and out. She's always on patrol. And we don't have a doggy door, so that's fun. I have harnesses, and they pull really, really hard on harnesses. And when I do it on their collar, they choke themselves to death. Cassia will choke herself till she throws up. It's horrible. All right. Bailey, she's funny. When she's walking and she wants to go and we're holding her back, she'll get up on her back 2 legs and like paw with her front legs trying to get forward. It's like, oh my gosh, dog, really? It's just crazy. Okay, so we've got our flowers cut. Now it's about arranging them and gluing them down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue dots down here at the bottom of my, well, maybe. I just want something to kind of secure the flowers, but not like I need to be able to tuck some flowers and things underneath it. So I'm just going to put a couple glue dots where I want this flower to be, because I at least know that much, right? So I've got that, and then I can start playing with, okay, you know, I feel like it needs a little extra greenery here, a little extra something here. I want to put some pink and blue flowers there. That's cute. Maybe some more green flowers there. So you just kind of tuck it, figure out where you want it. Let's put some glue dots behind it once we're happy with it. Glue dots are our friend, right? So glue that down. I said glue dots are our friend, and then it sticks to my leaf. There we go. So you're just going to kind of slide things in to where you want them. Stick this down. I cut plenty of flowers or leaves so we can be as generous with the leaves as we want. I take this guy, put some glue dots behind it. Building up flowers is fun. It just kind of fills in the space. It's like actually like being a florist. You know how they have to make bouquets? Like we're doing that, but with paper. So it's kind of fun to make up these little flower. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for the outside. The rest of this will be for the inside. One of the things I want to make sure I do, though, is I have my little pink flower that's going to show through the back. So trying to figure out where that's going to go and then where the rest of it's going to go. I'm going to put some glue dots on the back. So pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then we can add some more leaves. The other thing we want to add is a label for our sentiment. So got that. Okay. And let's add a couple more leaves and we should be good. Okay. Hummingbird is going to go in the upper corner. A nap sounds nice. I cannot nap today. I've got duties, responsibilities, videos to record. Okay, and then I used this, one of my favorite, the Stylish Shape dies, and I just got a stitched rectangle for the sentiment. So I'm going to cut that out real quick. We are so close. I do want to color my little flower on the inside here real quick. So we'll do that. I can hear Bailey. She's like, I want to go outside, Mom. We have a bell on the back door and she rings the bell. She's so smart. But she's very upset. She's crying. She's like, please, Mom, I want to go outside. We're almost done, Bailey. So I'm just going to do some shading here. And a yellow center. And Mossy Meadow leaves. A little bit of shading there. Okay. Now, our label. We are going to stamp the last sentiment that we haven't used yet, which is enjoy your day. Enjoy your day. Oh, I hate the way I did that. Oh, well. Oh, well. Okay, so let's put some dimensionals on the back of it. Not dimensionals. You know what I meant. Glue dots. And I think I want to stick it in here, and then I want to tuck it underneath my... Shouldn't have glued my hummingbird down. No. Maybe I'll just do it over like that. Now I feel like my... I'll tuck it in like so. There we go. Okay. Oh my goodness. This one takes a lot of effort. So it's not one that you want to like duplicate a whole bunch of, but maybe for a special somebody. And it opens up like this. So pretty. So here's the pink version. It's got the pink layer, same card, pink layer. And this one has the blue. So you guys have to tell me which one you like. I bet like they're both nice. It's just, I kind of like the blue against the pecan pie. All right, ladies and gents. That's all she wrote. Longest live ever. You guys are awesome for sticking with me for 2 straight hours of hummingbirds. Here's our pretty projects from today. All right, and we have a pack of designer series paper called Softly Stippled that we're giving away. Softly Stippled. It's a celebration free with a $50 order. And I believe this one is sold out. So this is one way you can get it. So door prize, comment, hashtag thoughtful expressions. This is your last chance. I'm going to present my giveaway screen, which has been up all of the entries, and we're going to hit the draw button. Darylyn, my friend, you are our winner. Congratulations. Oh, really? Well, congratulations, Darylyn. You are the winner. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you have a productive week and that you do something for yourself. Spoil yourself a little bit, okay? Bye, everybody.